Hello class, it's Miss Roberts here. I hope everyone is doing well. Today we're going to talk about informative speaking and some things to consider while preparing and performing your informative speech. Let's begin. Okay, today we're going to talk about the different types of informative speeches, how to use different strategies, and how to maintain the audience's interest. How to appropriately use 4 strategies and be audience-centered. Now, when you're speaking to inform, you're nonpartisan. So you're objective and you are talking about several sides of a particular topic. So you have the role of a teacher, you're talking about information, concepts, and ideas, and you're breaking down a particular subject. So here's some types of informative speeches that you can do. You can think of your favorite object. So think about an object or a product or a company that you can talk about. When we talk about different organizational patterns, you have topically. So that's where you take one topic and break it down into 3 or more sections. Chronologically, that's when you organize your speech by time, and spatially, where you organize your speech by location. For instance, say if you're talking about, hey, here's 3 things to do when you go to Los Angeles. That could be a spatial speech. You can also talk about procedures. So that would be your top tips, recipes, any speeches that involve steps. You can also talk about people. So you can talk about maybe a famous person or an impactful person, and that's more chronologically where you can talk about their life story. Or topically, maybe begin with their life story and then talk about their accomplishments. You can also talk about events. So whether it be a holiday, celebration, or historical event, you can also talk about it in your speech. Finally, you can talk about ideas. So speeches about ideas, you have to make sure to narrow them down to meet the time requirements and to not bombard your audience with a lot of ideas or complexity. So you can organize it topically, so take that idea and break it down into 3 pieces, or by complexity. You can take a simple idea, go to a more complex idea, and then bring it all together to create an even larger, more complex idea. So baby step them through that process. So when we talk about adult learners, here are some things to keep in mind because you will be playing the role of the teacher. You can actively involve listeners, ask questions. If you're face-to-face, you can say raise of hands, things of that nature. But trying to involve them at each step of the process, maintaining those attention getters, and making the information relevant to them is important. Connecting either your life experiences or the presumed life experiences of your audience can help them connect the new information and see how is this information relevant to their lives. And then if you want to talk about maybe an issue or maybe a step or procedure that can help them or give them some tips, that can be more engaging as well. Like, hey, how is this information going to help me? And then if you are going to talk about ideas and complex processes, you can use literary devices such as using analogies, making comparisons, or trying to use more descriptive phrases to bring the audience into the fold mentally. So here are some ways that you can enhance an audience recall. We have our speech previews in the thesis, explicit summaries, so making sure to provide recaps at the very beginning and the end of your speech, numeric signpost, 1, 2, or 3, first, second, or third. Those are numerical transitions. Using visual aids to reinforce order and organization, just like I've done with the PowerPoint. And you can even provide handouts so people can look through. Of course, it won't apply to this class, but they can look through and take something home so they can excuse me, so they can review what you discussed later. So some ideas to help you out. You want to make your ideas short and simple. Keep your information, have a flow to it, so have a rhyme or reason or use an outline to maintain that organization. So if it's organized in the planning stage, then when the audience hears it, it should be okay and they'll be able to follow. You can also use verbal and nonverbal ideas to key in ideas, use gestures, tone of voice, visual aids, and the like. And if you use an audience-centered model, think about who you're speaking to, college students, people with college experiences. Think about the beliefs, interests, and values of your audience, or explain yours or where you're coming from. And what are some of the expectations? What knowledge can I gain from you in this brief moment? Okay, so that's it. Make sure to review the outline. This is just an overview of the different types of speeches you can do, or to help narrow down some of the topics. One of the challenges of the informative speech is you can talk about almost anything. It's the paradox of choice. If you have a lot of choices, it's a little bit harder to narrow it down. So think about what are some of the things you want to talk about, or some of your hobbies or interests, or what is something that you're interested in learning about, and you can have an excuse to dive in and research and tell us what you learned. Okay, well, thank you so much, and I will see you next time. Bye.